Sarah Henwood stood at the window of her London office, watching the Thames flow beneath grey February clouds. In just 3 days, she would officially begin her role as Chief Executive Officer of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. The weight of this moment settled on her shoulders like a mantle she had been preparing to wear her entire career. At 52, Sarah had spent 3 decades building her reputation in public service broadcasting. Her journey from a young producer at regional television stations to becoming president of Channel 5 and UK regional lead at Paramount had been marked by decisive leadership and an unwavering commitment to public service. But nothing in her extensive career had prepared her for the unique challenges that lay ahead. The decision to change her professional name from Sarah Rose to Sarah Henwood had been carefully considered. She wanted to start this new chapter with clarity and purpose, leaving behind any potential confusion about her identity as she stepped into one of the most scrutinized roles in British public life. This wasn't just another career move, it was a calling that would define the next phase of her life. Sarah's phone buzzed with another congratulatory message from a former colleague. The announcement of her appointment in September had generated significant interest across media circles. Friends and industry peers were both impressed and curious about her transition from commercial broadcasting to royal philanthropy. Some questioned whether someone from the entertainment industry could navigate the complex world of royal charitable work. Others recognized it as a natural evolution for someone who had always been passionate about using media platforms to create positive social change. The offer had come during a period of personal reflection. After years of climbing the corporate ladder in television, Sarah had been questioning what came next. She had achieved everything she had set out to accomplish in broadcasting, but felt a growing desire to apply her skills towards something with deeper societal impact. When the opportunity to lead Prince William and Catherine's charitable foundation presented itself, it felt like destiny calling. The interview process had been rigorous and unlike anything she had experienced in her television career. Beyond the usual questions about leadership and strategy, there were discussions about discretion, public service, and the unique pressures of working within the royal ecosystem. The Prince and Princess of Wales had been direct in their expectations. They needed someone who could navigate both the public and private aspects of their charitable work while maintaining the highest standards of integrity and effectiveness. During her final interview, Prince William had spoken passionately about his vision for ending homelessness through the Homewards campaign. His eyes had lit up as he described the potential for lasting change, not just temporary relief. Catherine had been equally compelling when discussing her Center for Early Childhood initiative, explaining how the first 5 years of a child's life could determine their entire future trajectory. Sarah had felt an immediate connection to their sense of urgency and purpose. What struck her most during those conversations was how normal they seemed, despite their extraordinary circumstances. They were clearly devoted parents and partners who happened to have a platform that could reach millions of people worldwide. They wanted to use that platform responsibly, effectively, and with measurable impact. This wasn't about generating positive headlines. It was about creating genuine, sustainable change in areas that desperately needed attention. The outgoing CEO, Amanda Berry, had been generous with her time during the transition period. Amanda's leadership over the past 3 years had been exceptional, bringing her decades of experience from BAFTA to strengthen the foundation's operational framework. She would continue working with the foundation as Global Partnerships Ambassador, ensuring continuity while allowing Sarah to implement her own vision and approach. Sarah had spent the weeks since her appointment studying every aspect of the foundation's work. The scope was broader than many people realized, encompassing not just William's homelessness initiative and Catherine's early childhood programs, but also United for Wildlife's fight against illegal trafficking and the Community Impact Program that upgraded facilities across the United Kingdom. Each program represented a different challenge, requiring distinct strategies and stakeholder relationships. The homelessness work demanded coordination with local councils, housing associations, and service providers. The Early Childhood Initiative involved collaboration with researchers, educators, and policymakers. United for Wildlife required international cooperation with governments and conservation organizations. The Community Impact Program meant working directly with local communities to identify and address their specific needs. Sarah understood that her success would be measured not by media coverage or public relations victories, but by tangible outcomes in the lives of the people these programs served. This was a fundamental shift from her television career, where ratings and revenue were the primary metrics. Here, success meant families housed, children given better starts in life, wildlife populations protected, and communities strengthened. The Foundation's recent annual report had shown impressive results, but Sarah saw opportunities for even greater impact through improved coordination, enhanced measurement systems, and more strategic partnership development. Her broadcasting experience had taught her the power of storytelling and authentic communication, skills that would be invaluable in expanding public understanding and support for the Foundation's work. She had already begun sketching ideas for how to leverage digital platforms more effectively, not for publicity, but for education and engagement. The Foundation could do more to share best practices from successful programs, connect like-minded organizations, and provide resources for people who wanted to make a difference in their own communities. Sarah envisioned a more interactive approach that would transform the Foundation from a grant-making organization into a true catalyst for social change. The personal stakes were significant as well. Sarah's reputation, built over 30 years, would now be tied to the success or failure of these charitable initiatives. Any mistakes would be magnified by media attention, while successes would be scrutinized for their authenticity and sustainability. She had accepted this reality as part of the role, understanding that working with the royal family meant operating under a level of public scrutiny that few other charitable leaders faced. Her family had been supportive of the career change, though they shared her awareness of how different this role would be. Her children, now adults, had grown up seeing her navigate the pressures of television deadlines and corporate politics. This would be different, more meaningful in many ways, but also more complex due to the constitutional and cultural significance of the monarchy in British society. Sarah had also spent considerable time thinking about her leadership style and how it might need to evolve for this new environment. In television, success often required quick decisions, competitive thinking, and a willingness to take calculated risks. Leading a royal foundation would require those same qualities, but with additional layers of consultation, protocol, and long-term thinking that reflected the enduring nature of the monarchy as an institution. The foundation staff, from program managers to administrative assistants, would be looking to her for direction and inspiration. Many had worked in the charitable sector their entire careers and brought deep expertise in areas where Sarah was still learning. She recognized the importance of listening carefully, asking thoughtful questions, and building on the strong foundation that Amanda Berry and her predecessors had established. As Sarah prepared for her final days at Paramount, she found herself both excited and apprehensive about the transition ahead. The television industry had been her professional home for so long that leaving felt like departing from family. At the same time, the opportunity to contribute to work that could genuinely improve people's lives felt like the natural next chapter of her career. Her LinkedIn post announcing the transition had generated hundreds of responses from colleagues, competitors, and industry observers. The general sentiment was positive, with many people expressing admiration for her willingness to take on such a challenging role. A few had expressed skepticism about whether her commercial media background would translate effectively to charitable work, questions that Sarah understood and was determined to answer through her performance rather than her words. The Prince and Princess of Wales had made clear their commitment to supporting her transition and providing whatever resources she needed to succeed. They understood that effective leadership required both autonomy and accountability, and they were prepared to give her the space to implement her vision while maintaining appropriate oversight of the Foundation's work. Sarah knew that her success would ultimately be judged by whether the Foundation's programs achieved their stated objectives. Could Homewards actually end homelessness? Or would it simply manage the problem more effectively? Could the Center for Early Childhood create measurable improvements in children's developmental outcomes? Could United for Wildlife make a meaningful dent in illegal trafficking? Could the Community Impact Program demonstrate scalable models for community development? These were the questions that would define her tenure, and she was energized by the challenge they represented. Sarah Henwood was ready to begin the most important work of her career, leading an organization with the potential to create lasting positive change in British society and beyond. The transformation from television executive to Royal Foundation CEO was almost complete. In 3 days, the real work would begin. The morning of Sarah Henwood's first official day as CEO began with an unexpected phone call at 6:30. Her assistant's voice was carefully controlled, but Sarah could detect the underlying tension as she explained that a major newspaper had published an investigation into homelessness statistics that contradicted some of the claims made by similar organizations. The story wasn't directly critical of Homewards, but it raised questions about the reliability of data being used across the sector. Sarah sat up in bed, immediately alert. This was exactly the kind of challenge she had anticipated. Issues that required immediate attention and careful navigation to protect the Foundation's credibility while maintaining productive relationships with media partners. Her decades in television had taught her that the news cycle waited for no one, and responses needed to be swift, accurate, and strategically sound. By 7:15, she was dressed and in her car, heading toward the Foundation's headquarters while participating in a conference call with Amanda Berry, who was still transitioning her responsibilities, and the Foundation's communications team. The conversation was measured but urgent, focusing on how to respond to inquiries, while ensuring that their own data and methodologies were beyond reproach. The Foundation's offices occupied an elegant building that balanced professional efficiency with the gravitas appropriate to its royal connections. Sarah's new office, still being arranged according to her preferences, overlooked a quiet courtyard that provided a sense of calm despite the urban energy surrounding them. Her first official meeting was scheduled for 9 o'clock with the entire senior staff. But the early crisis had accelerated everything. Sarah's leadership style had always emphasized direct communication and collaborative problem-solving, approaches that had served her well in television's fast-paced environment. However, she was quickly learning that royal charitable work required additional layers of consideration. Every statement, every response, every decision had implications not just for the Foundation but for Prince William and Catherine personally, and by extension for the monarchy as an institution. The communications team had prepared 3 potential responses to the newspaper story, ranging from a brief acknowledgement to a detailed explanation of their methodology. Sarah studied each option carefully, considering not just the immediate impact, but the long-term implications for their credibility and relationships. She decided on a measured approach that acknowledged the importance of accurate data while highlighting their own commitment to transparency and continuous improvement. By 8:30, the Foundation's headquarters was buzzing with activity as staff members arrived to what they knew would be an eventful first day for their new leader. Sarah had requested individual meetings with each department head over the coming weeks, but today's agenda focused on establishing her vision and addressing the immediate challenges facing each program area. The Homewards team presented their latest progress reports, which showed encouraging results from pilot programs in several cities. Local partnerships were proving effective at identifying innovative solutions, but scaling these approaches nationally remained a significant challenge. Sarah listened carefully to their analysis, asking questions that demonstrated her understanding of both the strategic and operational complexities involved. What impressed her most was the team's realistic assessment of what could be achieved within specific timeframes. Rather than making overly optimistic promises, they had developed measurable milestones that would demonstrate genuine progress toward the ultimate goal of ending homelessness. This disciplined approach to goal setting reflected the professional standards that Amanda Berry had established during her tenure. The Center for Early Childhood team shared research findings that reinforced the importance of their work while highlighting the scale of the challenge they faced. Improving outcomes for children required coordination across multiple systems: healthcare, education, social services, and family support that historically operated independently. Sarah recognized this as an opportunity to leverage her network of relationships across various sectors to facilitate better coordination. During the lunch break, Sarah took her first official call as CEO with a journalist who had covered royal charitable work for more than a decade. The conversation was cordial but probing, with questions designed to test her knowledge of the sector and her commitment to the Foundation's mission. Sarah appreciated the journalist's directness and answered thoughtfully, demonstrating her preparation while acknowledging areas where she was still learning. The afternoon brought meetings with several potential corporate partners who were interested in supporting the Foundation's work. These conversations required a delicate balance between enthusiasm for their support and careful evaluation of whether partnerships would advance the Foundation's objectives without creating conflicts or compromising their independence. Sarah's experience negotiating television deals proved valuable in assessing proposals and identifying mutually beneficial arrangements. One particularly promising discussion involved a technology company that had developed innovative approaches to data collection and analysis in the homeless services sector. Their tools could potentially improve the Foundation's ability to measure impact and identify effective interventions, but Sarah wanted to ensure that any partnership would genuinely serve the people they were trying to help, rather than simply generating impressive statistics. Late in the afternoon, Sarah received her first direct communication from Prince William's office. The message was brief but warm, expressing confidence in her leadership and offering support for any challenges that might arise during her transition. She appreciated both the autonomy this implied and the security of knowing that she could reach out for guidance when needed. The United for Wildlife team had scheduled a presentation about their latest initiatives combating illegal trafficking. The scope of their work was global, requiring coordination with law enforcement agencies, customs officials, and conservation organizations across multiple continents. Sarah was struck by the sophistication of their approach, which combined cutting-edge technology with traditional investigative techniques to disrupt trafficking networks. What challenged her thinking was the realization that success in this area was measured not just by arrests or seizures, but by the long-term sustainability of wildlife populations and the economic development of communities that might otherwise turn to illegal activities for survival. This holistic approach reflected a level of strategic thinking that impressed Sarah and reinforced her confidence in the Foundation's overall capabilities. The Community Impact Program team shared updates from projects across the United Kingdom, ranging from rural community centers to urban youth facilities. Each project was unique in its local context, but they shared common goals of strengthening community connections and providing resources for local development. Sarah saw opportunities to better document and share successful approaches, so that communities could learn from each other's experiences. As the day progressed, Sarah found herself increasingly energized by the quality of work being done and the dedication of the staff members she was meeting. Their commitment was evident not just in their professional expertise, but in their personal passion for the causes they served. Many had chosen to work for the Foundation despite opportunities for higher compensation elsewhere, motivated by the chance to contribute to meaningful social change. The complexity of coordinating across multiple program areas became more apparent as the day continued. Each initiative had its own timeline, stakeholder relationships, and measurement systems, but they also intersected in ways that could create synergies or conflicts. Sarah began sketching ideas for better coordination while respecting the distinct expertise and approaches that made each program effective. Her final meeting of the day was with the Foundation's finance and operations teams, who provided a comprehensive overview of budget management, grant-making processes, and administrative systems. The Foundation's financial health was strong, but Sarah could see opportunities for more strategic allocation of resources and more sophisticated impact measurement across all program areas. The operations team had developed robust systems for managing everything from event planning to security protocols, reflecting the unique requirements of working with senior members of the royal family. Sarah appreciated the thoroughness of their planning while recognizing that her own background would require her to learn protocols that had never been relevant in her television career. As staff members began leaving for the day, Sarah remained in her office, reviewing notes and reflecting on the breadth of what she had learned. The Foundation's work was more sophisticated and impactful than she had fully appreciated from the outside, but she also saw opportunities for improvement and expansion that excited her strategic thinking. Her phone rang again, another journalist seeking comment on the morning's homelessness story. Sarah's response was more confident now, drawing on the detailed briefings she had received throughout the day. She emphasized the Foundation's commitment to evidence-based approaches and transparent reporting while highlighting the positive results already being achieved through local partnerships. Sarah realized that managing media relationships would be an ongoing aspect of her role, requiring the same strategic thinking she had applied to programming decisions in television. The goal was not to avoid coverage, but to ensure that it accurately reflected the Foundation's work and contributed to public understanding of the issues they were addressing. The day had exceeded her expectations in terms of both the challenges and the opportunities ahead. Sarah felt confident that her decision to leave television for this role had been correct, but she also understood that success would require sustained effort, careful relationship building, and constant learning about sectors where she was still developing expertise. As she prepared to leave the office, Sarah drafted a note to Prince William and Catherine, summarizing her initial observations and expressing her appreciation for the opportunity to lead such important work. She kept the message brief but substantive, demonstrating her understanding of their priorities while establishing her own voice as the Foundation's new leader. The transition from television executive to Royal Foundation CEO was proving more complex and rewarding than Sarah had anticipated. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and opportunities, but today had confirmed her belief that this work represented the most meaningful chapter of her professional life. Sarah Henwood was ready to build on the strong foundation she had inherited and lead the organization toward even greater impact in the years ahead. 3 weeks into her tenure as CEO, Sarah Henwood faced her first major test of leadership when a crisis emerged that threatened to overshadow months of careful planning. A participant in one of Homeward's pilot programs had been arrested in connection with a serious crime, and opposition politicians were already questioning whether the Foundation's approach to supporting people experiencing homelessness was adequately protecting public safety. The news broke on a Tuesday morning through a tabloid headline that sensationalized the story while providing few details about the individual's actual connection to the program. Within hours, social media was filled with commentary, ranging from thoughtful analysis to inflammatory rhetoric. Sarah knew that how the Foundation responded would set important precedents for future challenges, while potentially impacting the lives of thousands of vulnerable people who depended on similar programs. Sarah convened an emergency meeting with her senior team, including representatives from legal, communications, and program management. The discussion was thorough but urgent, balancing the need to respond quickly with the importance of ensuring accuracy and protecting both the Foundation's mission and the individuals involved. Her television background had prepared her for managing crisis communications, but the stakes felt different when the work involved people's fundamental human needs rather than entertainment programming. The legal team provided a clear assessment. The Foundation had followed all appropriate procedures in screening participants and had maintained appropriate boundaries between support services and law enforcement. The individual in question had participated in housing assistance programs, but had not been involved in any specialized services that might raise questions about the Foundation's judgment or protocols. Sarah decided on a response strategy that acknowledged the seriousness of any criminal activity while defending the importance of evidence-based approaches to addressing homelessness. She drafted a statement that emphasized the Foundation's commitment to public safety alongside their mission to help vulnerable people, avoiding both defensive language and inflammatory rhetoric that might escalate tensions. The communications rollout was carefully coordinated across multiple channels. Sarah personally briefed key journalists who had established relationships with the Foundation, providing context and background information that helped them understand the complexity of the issues involved. She also prepared talking points for staff members who might be contacted by other media outlets, ensuring consistency while allowing for authentic responses to specific questions. Prince William's office reached out that afternoon to offer support and express confidence in Sarah's handling of the situation. The prince had dealt with similar challenges during his previous work with homeless services and understood both the political sensitivity and the importance of maintaining public support for evidence-based interventions. His backing provided Sarah with additional confidence as she navigated her first major crisis as CEO. The response from program participants and service providers was overwhelmingly supportive. Local organizations working with Homewards issued statements emphasizing the positive impact of the Foundation's approach and the importance of not allowing isolated incidents to undermine comprehensive strategies for addressing homelessness. Their support demonstrated the strength of relationships that the Foundation had built over years of careful partnership development. By Thursday, media coverage had shifted toward more substantive analysis of homelessness policy and the challenges facing organizations that work with vulnerable populations. Several major newspapers published editorial pieces that praised the Foundation's transparency while calling for continued support of innovative approaches to complex social problems. Sarah recognized this as a partial victory, though she remained vigilant about potential ongoing criticism. The crisis had revealed both strengths and areas for improvement in the Foundation's operations. The staff's professionalism and commitment had been exemplary, but Sarah identified opportunities for better preparation and more sophisticated messaging strategies. She commissioned a comprehensive review of crisis communication procedures while ensuring that immediate program operations continued without disruption. The experience also highlighted the unique pressures of leading a royal charitable organization. Every decision carried implications not just for the foundation, but for Prince William and Catherine personally, and by extension for public perceptions of the monarchy's role in addressing social issues. Sarah appreciated the weight of this responsibility, while feeling confident that her television background had prepared her for managing high-stakes public relations challenges. Friday brought a different kind of test when Sarah joined Prince William for her first site visit to one of the Homewards pilot programs in Birmingham. The visit had been planned weeks earlier, but took on additional significance following the week's events. Local media coverage would be intense, and Sarah knew that both her performance and the program's presentation would be scrutinized for signs of either competence or weakness. The Birmingham program was one of the foundation's most successful initiatives, having achieved measurable reductions in rough sleeping while helping dozens of individuals transition to stable housing. The local partnership involved city council services, housing associations, health providers, and community organizations working together in ways that had previously been difficult to coordinate. Sarah was struck by Prince William's natural interaction with both service providers and program participants. His questions were informed and empathetic, demonstrating genuine understanding of the challenges people faced and appreciation for the work being done to address them. She could see why his leadership had been effective in building support for innovative approaches to homelessness. The program participants who spoke with them during the visit were articulate advocates for the services they had received. Their stories were compelling evidence of what could be achieved through coordinated support, but Sarah was also conscious of ensuring that their privacy and dignity were protected throughout the media coverage of the visit. Local officials expressed enthusiasm for expanding the program's approaches to other areas, but they also raised important questions about funding sustainability and the challenges of scaling successful pilots to larger populations. Sarah took detailed notes about their concerns, recognizing that addressing these implementation challenges would be crucial for achieving the foundation's long-term objectives. The media coverage of the Birmingham visit was largely positive, focusing on the program's results rather than the controversy from earlier in the week. Several journalists who had been critical of the foundation's response to the crisis wrote follow-up pieces that acknowledged the complexity of the work being done and the importance of maintaining support for evidence-based approaches. Sarah returned to London feeling more confident about her role and the foundation's mission. The week had tested her leadership abilities and crisis management skills, but it had also demonstrated the strength of the programs and partnerships that she had inherited. She was beginning to understand how to navigate the unique challenges of royal charitable work while building on the solid foundation established by her predecessors. The following Monday brought a new opportunity when Sarah was invited to speak at a conference on innovative approaches to social change. The audience included leaders from across the charitable sector, government officials, and corporate executives interested in social responsibility initiatives. Her presentation would be her first major public address as the foundation's CEO and an opportunity to establish her voice within the broader community of organizations working on similar issues. Sarah's speech focused on the importance of evidence-based approaches and collaborative partnerships in addressing complex social problems. She drew on examples from all of the foundation's program areas, demonstrating how different strategies could be integrated to achieve more comprehensive impact. Her broadcasting background served her well in engaging the audience while maintaining focus on substantive policy issues. The response to her presentation was enthusiastic, with several audience members approaching afterward to discuss potential partnerships or collaboration opportunities. Sarah was particularly interested in conversations with organizations that had developed innovative measurement systems or had succeeded in scaling local programs to national implementation. One conversation that caught her attention was with a social enterprise that had developed technology platforms for better coordination among service providers. Their approach could potentially enhance the foundation's work across multiple program areas, but Sarah wanted to ensure that any technology adoption would genuinely improve services, rather than simply creating additional administrative complexity. The conference also provided opportunities for informal networking with leaders from other royal and celebrity foundations. Sarah was curious about how they had navigated similar challenges and what lessons she might apply to her own work. These conversations reinforced her appreciation for the unique position that royal charitable organizations occupied in the broader philanthropic landscape. By the end of her first month as CEO, Sarah had established herself as a thoughtful and effective leader who could navigate complex challenges while maintaining focus on the Foundation's mission. Her staff had gained confidence in her judgment and leadership style, while external stakeholders had begun to appreciate her strategic thinking and commitment to evidence-based approaches. The transition from Amanda Berry's leadership had been smoother than many organizational changes of this magnitude, reflecting both Amanda's thorough preparation and Sarah's careful attention to building relationships and understanding existing systems before implementing changes. Sarah was beginning to develop her own vision for the Foundation's future, while respecting the strong foundation that had been built over previous years. Prince William and Catherine had expressed satisfaction with Sarah's performance during her first month, particularly her handling of the crisis and her thoughtful approach to external engagement. They appreciated her strategic thinking and her understanding of how the Foundation's work connected to broader policy debates and social change efforts. Sarah was settling into a rhythm that balanced strategic planning with day-to-day operational oversight, external engagement with internal team development, and crisis management with proactive relationship building. The role was more complex than her television career had been, but it was also more meaningful in terms of potential social impact. As she prepared for the challenges ahead, Sarah felt confident that she had made the right decision in accepting the CEO position. The Foundation's work was making a genuine difference in people's lives, and she was beginning to see opportunities for even greater impact through improved coordination, enhanced partnerships, and more sophisticated measurement systems. The learning curve remained steep, but Sarah was energized by the complexity of the challenges and the potential for meaningful social change. Her first month as CEO had confirmed her belief that this represented the most important work of her career, and she was committed to building on the strong foundation she had inherited to achieve even greater impact in the years ahead. 2 months into her role as CEO, Sarah Henwood was beginning to see the broader landscape of challenges and opportunities that would define her tenure. The Foundation's quarterly board meeting was scheduled for Thursday, and she had spent weeks preparing comprehensive reports that would demonstrate both the progress being made and her vision for future development. This would be her first formal presentation to the full board, including Prince William and Catherine. Since taking over from Amanda Berry, the preparation process had been intensive, requiring coordination across all program areas to ensure accurate reporting and strategic alignment. Sarah had worked closely with each department head to analyze results, identify trends, and develop recommendations for improving effectiveness. Her television background had taught her the importance of compelling storytelling, but royal charitable work demanded absolute accuracy and measured assessment of complex social interventions. The Homewards program had achieved significant milestones since her arrival, with pilot programs in 6 cities showing measurable reductions in rough sleeping and increased success rates for transitioning people into stable housing. However, Sarah was careful to present these results within appropriate context, acknowledging both the promising trends and the ongoing challenges of scaling effective approaches to national implementation. The data showed that collaborative partnerships were proving more effective than traditional approaches, but they also required more sophisticated coordination and sustained funding commitments. Sarah had developed proposals for expanding successful models while addressing the resource and capacity constraints that limited broader implementation. Her recommendations balanced ambition with realism, reflecting her growing understanding of both the potential and the limitations of charitable interventions in addressing systemic social problems. The Center for Early Childhood had completed its first comprehensive evaluation of intervention programs, producing results that reinforced the importance of Catherine's focus on the earliest years of child development. The research demonstrated measurable improvements in school readiness, emotional regulation, and family stability among children whose families participated in foundation-supported programs. Sarah was particularly excited about the potential for scaling these approaches through better integration with existing healthcare, education, and social services systems. Her analysis suggested that relatively modest investments in coordination and training could dramatically improve outcomes without requiring massive increases in overall funding. This represented exactly the kind of strategic thinking that could maximize the Foundation's impact, while building sustainable support for evidence-based interventions. The United for Wildlife team had achieved remarkable success in disrupting trafficking networks, with their technology and training programs contributing to significant seizures and arrests across multiple continents. However, Sarah recognized that measuring success in this area required understanding not just enforcement outcomes, but long-term trends in wildlife population recovery and community economic development. Her review had identified opportunities for better integration between anti-trafficking efforts and community development programs, recognizing that sustainable conservation required addressing the economic incentives that led people to participate in illegal activities. This holistic approach reflected the kind of strategic thinking that Sarah believed could distinguish the Foundation's work from more traditional charitable interventions. The Community Impact Program had completed projects in dozens of communities across the United Kingdom, ranging from rural village halls to urban youth centers. Each project was unique in its local context, but Sarah had begun identifying common elements that contributed to success, including strong local leadership, clear community ownership, and sustainable funding models. She was developing proposals for better documentation and sharing of successful approaches, allowing communities to learn from each other's experiences while adapting strategies to their specific circumstances. This represented a shift toward more systematic knowledge management that could multiply the Foundation's impact without requiring proportional increases in direct funding. The board meeting itself was held in a conference room that balanced professional efficiency with the dignity appropriate to royal charitable work. Prince William and Catherine arrived precisely on time, demonstrating the punctuality and preparation that Sarah had learned characterized their approach to Foundation business. Their questions during her presentation were informed and probing, reflecting genuine understanding of the challenges and opportunities she was describing. Sarah's presentation emphasized both achievements and areas for improvement, demonstrating her commitment to honest assessment while maintaining focus on the Foundation's mission and potential. She outlined her strategic vision for enhancing coordination across program areas, improving measurement systems, and developing more sophisticated partnership strategies that could leverage additional resources and expertise. The discussion following her presentation was substantive and wide-ranging, touching on everything from funding strategies to political relationships to international collaboration opportunities. Sarah appreciated the board members' expertise and engagement, recognizing that their guidance would be valuable in navigating the complex challenges ahead. Prince William's questions focused particularly on the sustainability and scalability of successful interventions, reflecting his understanding that temporary improvements were insufficient if they couldn't be maintained and expanded over time. Catherine's inquiries emphasized the importance of measuring long-term outcomes rather than just immediate outputs, demonstrating her commitment to evidence-based approaches that could demonstrate genuine impact on people's lives. The board approved Sarah's recommendations for program expansion and strategic development, providing both the resources and the authority needed to implement her vision for the Foundation's future. Their confidence in her leadership was evident, but Sarah also appreciated the accountability systems they maintained to ensure responsible stewardship of the Foundation's resources and reputation. Following the board meeting, Sarah had her first extended private conversation with Prince William and Catherine since beginning her role. They expressed satisfaction with her performance while sharing their own perspectives on the challenges and opportunities they saw ahead. The conversation was informal but substantive, covering everything from specific program concerns to broader questions about the role of royal charitable work in addressing social problems. Sarah was struck by their genuine passion for the Foundation's mission and their sophisticated understanding of the complex factors that influenced social change. They were clearly not ceremonial figureheads but active partners who brought valuable insights and relationships to the Foundation's work. Their commitment reinforced her own motivation, while providing additional confidence in the importance and potential impact of her role. The weeks following the board meeting brought new opportunities for external engagement and partnership development. Sarah accepted invitations to speak at several conferences and policy forums, establishing her voice within the broader community of organizations working on social issues. These appearances helped build the Foundation's visibility and credibility, while creating opportunities for collaboration and learning. One particularly significant opportunity came when Sarah was invited to participate in a government working group on homelessness policy. Her appointment to this advisory role reflected growing recognition of the Foundation's expertise and the value of their evidence-based approaches. The position would allow her to influence policy development while gaining insights that could improve the Foundation's own program strategies. Sarah's participation in the working group also highlighted the unique position that royal charitable organizations occupied in relation to government policy. While maintaining appropriate independence and nonpartisan positioning, the Foundation could contribute valuable research and practical experience that informed policy development without compromising their charitable mission or royal connections. The spring months brought a series of site visits that allowed Sarah to see the Foundation's work in action across different contexts and program areas. She visited early childhood programs in Scotland, community development projects in Wales, and anti-trafficking training facilities in various locations. Each visit provided insights that informed her understanding of implementation challenges and success factors. These site visits also allowed Sarah to build relationships with local partners and program participants, grounding her strategic thinking in real-world experiences and perspectives. She was consistently impressed by the dedication and expertise of frontline workers, while also gaining appreciation for the complex coordination required to maintain effective partnerships across multiple organizations and systems. The feedback from these visits was uniformly positive, with partners expressing appreciation for Sarah's genuine interest in their work and her thoughtful questions about challenges and opportunities. Her television background had given her strong communication skills, but she was learning to adapt her approach to the different dynamics and expectations of charitable sector engagement. By late spring, Sarah had established a clear rhythm and routine that balanced strategic planning with operational oversight, external engagement with internal development, and crisis management with proactive relationship building. Her staff had gained confidence in her judgment and leadership style, while external stakeholders had begun to appreciate her strategic thinking and commitment to evidence-based approaches. The Foundation's work was gaining recognition within the charitable sector and beyond, with several major publications highlighting innovative approaches and measurable results. Sarah was careful to ensure that this positive coverage accurately reflected the collaborative nature of their work, while maintaining appropriate credit for partners and program participants whose efforts made success possible. Sarah's first quarterly review with Prince William and Catherine confirmed their satisfaction with her performance and their confidence in the strategic direction she was developing. They appreciated her careful balance of ambition and realism, her commitment to evidence-based approaches, and her ability to navigate the complex political and media environment surrounding royal charitable work. As she prepared for the summer months ahead, Sarah felt increasingly confident in her role and energized by the opportunities she saw for expanding the Foundation's impact. The transition from television executive to Royal Foundation CEO had been more complex than she had anticipated, but it had also been more rewarding in terms of meaningful work and potential social impact. The Foundation was well positioned for continued growth and development, with strong programs, dedicated staff, supportive board leadership, and growing recognition within the broader community of organizations working on social change. Sarah looked forward to building on this strong foundation to achieve even greater impact in addressing the complex social challenges that the Foundation had committed to confronting. 6 months into her tenure as CEO, Sarah Henwood stood before an international audience at the Global Social Innovation Summit in Geneva, delivering a keynote address that would establish her as a leading voice in evidence-based charitable work. The invitation to speak at this prestigious gathering represented not just personal recognition but validation of the strategic approach she had been developing for the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. The audience included heads of major foundations, government ministers, corporate social responsibility executives, and academic researchers from across the globe. Sarah's presentation focused on the Foundation's integrated approach to addressing complex social problems, demonstrating how coordination across multiple program areas could achieve greater impact than isolated interventions. Her speech drew heavily on the lessons learned during her first 6 months, including both successes and challenges that had shaped her understanding of effective charitable leadership. She emphasized the importance of evidence-based decision-making, sustainable partnership development, and measurement systems that captured long-term outcomes rather than just immediate outputs. The response to her presentation was enthusiastic, with several audience members approaching afterward to discuss potential collaboration opportunities. Sarah was particularly interested in conversations with organizations that had developed innovative funding models or had succeeded in influencing government policy through strategic research and advocacy efforts. One conversation that captured her attention was with the director of a European foundation that had achieved remarkable success in addressing youth unemployment through comprehensive skills development programs. Their approach combined vocational training, mental health support, and employer engagement in ways that could potentially inform the Foundation's community impact work in the United Kingdom. Another significant discussion involved representatives from several African conservation organizations who were interested in learning from United for Wildlife's technology and training approaches. They described challenges with illegal trafficking that were remarkably similar to those the Foundation addressed, but with additional complications related to economic development and political instability that required more comprehensive solutions. The summit also provided opportunities for learning from organizations that had faced similar challenges in scaling successful pilot programs to broader implementation. Sarah was particularly interested in strategies for maintaining program quality while expanding reach, recognizing that this would be crucial for achieving the Foundation's long-term objectives across all program areas. Returning to London, Sarah found her inbox filled with follow-up messages from summit participants interested in exploring partnership opportunities. She was excited about the potential for international collaboration while remaining focused on ensuring that any partnerships would genuinely advance the Foundation's mission rather than simply expanding their activities. The summer months had brought several significant developments across the Foundation's program areas. The Homewards initiative had achieved its most impressive results yet, with pilot programs in 8 cities demonstrating sustained reductions in rough sleeping and increased success rates for transitioning people into stable housing. Local partnerships were proving remarkably effective at identifying innovative solutions while maintaining the flexibility needed to address varying local conditions. More importantly, the program was beginning to influence policy development at the national level. Sarah's participation in the government working group had contributed to new funding mechanisms that supported the kind of collaborative approaches that Homewards had demonstrated. This represented exactly the kind of systemic change that could multiply the Foundation's impact beyond their direct program investments. The Center for Early Childhood had completed its largest evaluation to date, producing research that reinforced the importance of Catherine's focus while providing specific guidance for improving intervention strategies. The results showed measurable improvements in child development outcomes, but they also highlighted the importance of supporting families rather than just individual children. Sarah was particularly excited about findings that demonstrated the cost-effectiveness of early intervention approaches compared to later remedial services. This data was proving valuable in building support among policymakers and funding organizations who needed to justify investments in prevention rather than crisis response. The research was also informing development of training materials and best practice guides that could help other organizations improve their own early childhood programs. This knowledge sharing represented an efficient way to multiply impact without requiring proportional increases in direct funding. The United for Wildlife team had achieved breakthrough results in disrupting trafficking networks, with their technology and training programs contributing to the largest seizures in the program's history. International partnerships were proving particularly effective, with law enforcement agencies across multiple continents sharing intelligence and coordinating operations in unprecedented ways. Sarah had been impressed by the sophistication of the team's approach, which combined cutting-edge technology with traditional investigative techniques and deep understanding of the economic and social factors that sustained illegal trafficking. Their work was demonstrating that effective conservation required addressing both immediate enforcement challenges and long-term community development needs. The program was also beginning to influence international policy development, with several governments adopting training and technology approaches that the Foundation had helped develop. This systemic impact represented the kind of scalable change that could achieve lasting results beyond the Foundation's direct interventions. The Community Impact Program had completed its most ambitious project yet, a comprehensive renovation and expansion of community facilities in a former mining town in Wales. The project had taken more than a year to complete, but the results demonstrated the potential for strategic community investment to catalyze broader economic and social development. Local leaders reported increased civic engagement, new business development, and improved coordination among service providers since the facility reopened. The project had also served as a model for similar initiatives in other communities, demonstrating approaches that could be adapted to different local contexts while maintaining core principles of community ownership and sustainable development. Sarah was developing proposals for documenting and sharing successful approaches more systematically. recognizing that the foundation could multiply its impact by helping other communities learn from successful projects. This knowledge management represented an efficient use of resources that could achieve broad influence without requiring massive increases in direct funding. The autumn brought a major milestone when Prince William and Catherine announced their decision to expand the foundation's international work, building on successful domestic programs to address similar challenges in other countries. The expansion would begin with early childhood and conservation initiatives in selected Commonwealth nations, leveraging existing relationships while maintaining focus on evidence-based approaches. Sarah had spent months developing the strategic framework for international expansion, working with partners to ensure that any overseas work would genuinely serve local needs rather than simply exporting British approaches. The planning process had required extensive consultation and careful consideration of cultural, political, and economic factors that would influence program effectiveness. The announcement generated significant media attention and positive response from international partners who had been seeking opportunities for collaboration. Sarah was careful to manage expectations while building enthusiasm, emphasizing the importance of learning from local expertise rather than imposing external solutions. The expansion also represented a significant test of Sarah's leadership abilities, requiring her to coordinate complex international partnerships while maintaining the quality and effectiveness of domestic programs. She was confident in her team's capabilities, but recognized that managing this growth would require continued development of systems and processes that could support increased complexity without compromising results. As the year drew to a close, Sarah reflected on the transformation that had occurred since her arrival. The Foundation's programs were achieving measurable impact while gaining recognition for innovative approaches and evidence-based effectiveness. Staff morale was high, partnerships were strong, and financial sustainability was improving through diversified funding strategies. More importantly, the Foundation was beginning to influence broader policy and practice beyond their direct program interventions. This systemic impact represented the kind of lasting change that Sarah believed was necessary to address the complex social problems that the Foundation had committed to confronting. The annual review meeting with Prince William and Catherine confirmed their satisfaction with the progress that had been achieved while highlighting opportunities for continued development. They appreciated Sarah's strategic thinking, operational effectiveness, and commitment to evidence-based approaches that demonstrated genuine impact on people's lives. Looking ahead to the following year, Sarah felt energized by the opportunities she saw for continued growth and development. The Foundation was well-positioned to expand its impact while maintaining the quality and effectiveness that had characterized their work. International partnerships offered exciting possibilities for learning and collaboration, while domestic programs continued to demonstrate the potential for charitable interventions to influence systemic change. The transition from television executive to Royal Foundation CEO had been more challenging and rewarding than Sarah had anticipated. She had discovered a sense of purpose and meaning in her work that had been missing during her commercial media career, while applying skills and experience in new ways that continued to challenge and develop her capabilities. Sarah Henwood had successfully established herself as an effective leader of one of Britain's most prominent charitable organizations, demonstrating that strategic thinking, evidence-based decision-making, and collaborative partnership development could achieve meaningful social impact. The Foundation's work was making a genuine difference in people's lives, while contributing to broader understanding of effective approaches to addressing complex social problems. As she prepared for the challenges and opportunities ahead, Sarah felt confident that the Foundation would continue to grow in impact and influence under her leadership. The strong foundation that she had inherited from Amanda Berry had been strengthened and expanded, positioning the organization for continued success in advancing the causes that were closest to Prince William and Catherine's hearts. The real measure of success would ultimately be found not in organizational growth or public recognition, but in the lives that were improved through the Foundation's work. Sarah remained committed to ensuring that everything the Foundation did served the people and communities that depended on their programs, maintaining focus on genuine impact rather than impressive statistics or positive publicity. The future held tremendous potential for continued development and expanded impact, building on the strong foundation that had been established while remaining true to the values and mission that defined the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales.